Cheat code. Support strategist. By Clouds. Man in the Clouds not coming down. On AO3. Chapter 69. Binge. Hitoshi was exhausted. He hadn't slept in 2 days. For once, he couldn't even blame it on his insomnia. No, instead he had to blame it on his classmate, who was apparently an oddly satisfying streamer who spent his time getting roasted by an actual, real-life villain because that was completely normal. Obviously. What even was his life? After finding the stream the other night, Hitoshi and his adults had spent the entire night and the next day going through every single episode of that Dusty and Icy Cat had archived. But even though they hadn't been streaming long, the duo was ridiculously dedicated to putting out content, which meant that they didn't go to bed until past midnight. It was easy to see how the two of them had become so popular. Todoroki's tendency to actively encourage his followers to make fun of him was unique and had caught a lot of people's attention. Add to the deadpan humor and Shigaraki's consistent roast, and it was no wonder why so many people tuned into their streams. Despite the seriousness of the situation, Hitoshi had found himself actually enjoying the content, and he'd even caught Aizawa reluctantly cracking a smile a few times. They weren't watching the stream for entertainment, though. They were watching it because as soon as they all gotten over the sheer panic of hearing Shigaraki's raspy voice in their room, they'd all jumped to the next logical conclusion: that Todoroki was likely a member of the League, and that the villain had somehow planted him as a traitor within 1A to feed them information. It made sense, but at the same time, it didn't. From what Izuku and Mei had told him, Todoroki had saved Aizawa at the USJ. But if he was actually a villain, then wouldn't he have just left him to die? That was the main reason they decided to binge the streams instead of immediately notifying the police. At first, Hitoshi had been convinced that Todoroki was a villain. But after more than a day of listening to Shigaraki and Todoroki's interact, he wasn't so sure anymore. They didn't act like co-conspirators so much as friends, or maybe even brothers with a hefty dash of sibling rivalry sparkled on top. Todoroki never talked about 1A, except to beginningly make fun of Bakugo a few times, and Shigaraki spoke about the leg even less. So it didn't look like they were discussing insider information. Hitoshi supposed that it was always possible that they were sharing info off-stream. But as weird as it sounded, it almost seemed like they designated the stream as some kind of neutral space where their roles as hero and villains didn't really matter. That somehow didn't stop them from joking about Shigaraki trying to kill the entire class, though, which Aizawa thought was ridiculous, and both Hitoshi and Mike had to admit it was darkly hilarious. As terrible as it looked, there was still a chance that Todoroki wasn't a traitor, and that he'd only paired up with Shigaraki and streams because he felt like he had nowhere else to turn to. The fact that Endeavor had kicked him out, though, while surprising to learn, only added more evidence to the villain theory because it gave him a reason. Hitoshi was so tired that he didn't even notice anyone else had come into the kitchen until a streaming mug was in front of him. He blinked up slowly and looked at Aizawa. "What do you want?" "For my students not be problem children," Aizawa said dryly. "But caffeine is the next big thing. Drink up." Hitoshi took a deep gulp of the coffee and groaned. Why is binge watching more exhausting than insomnia? Because your brain is still working the whole time, Aizawa said. It's the same reason stakeouts have you feeling dead, even though objectively you were just sitting in the car the whole time. It's the same concept here, especially since we're actively researching a villain. The fact that it's a villain we've fought before, and that it affects one of your classmates, only makes it more mentally and emotionally exhausting. Oh, yeah, that, Hitoshi drawled. Where's your partner in crime? Isn't he usually the high-energy one? Aizawa scoffed. That's when he's gotten his beauty sleep. No, I tried to wake him up this morning. My wonderful husband told me in no certain terms that he would murder me if I tried to wake him up before 10 a.m. Hitoshi raised an eyebrow. And what time was this? Aizawa smirked. 10:02. Figures. Hitoshi chuckled. At least he'd be rocking those eye bags, so he matched the rest of the family. He took another gulp of coffee and grimaced. This is doing absolutely nothing. Aizawa rolled his eyes. It's coffee, kid, not magic. The conversation fizzled out, and both of them were more than happy to embrace the silence as they waited for the coffee to kick in. It was nice and relaxing, and Hitoshi was actually starting to nod off again when his phone vibrated suddenly against the table and startled him so badly that he almost fell off his chair. He scrambled towards the phone and picked it up. Hi. Good morning. Ochako's voice was cheerful and loud enough that Hitoshi had to hold the phone a few inches away from his ear. Are you ready for me to pick you up? Hitoshi blinked. What? Mina invited everyone to the mall? Remember? Ochako said. Don't tell me you're gonna bail. I was gonna come over and we were going to get you some used to teleporting with me, remember? That was today. Hitoshi rubbed at the binge of his nose. Of all the... everyone's coming, right? Yeah, I think Mina managed to convince everyone, Ochako answered. Why? No reason. Hitoshi's brain was racing, as sluggish as humanly possible. If everyone was going to be there, then that meant that Todoroki was going to be there. And at this point, they had no clue if he was a villain or not. It might be a good idea to watch him and see if he was acting suspicious for any reason. But at the end of the day, it probably wasn't Hitoshi's call. Aizawa was the homeroom teacher, and the hero most responsible for Todoroki at the moment, since Endeavor had obviously noped out of the problem. So anything Hitoshi planned on doing definitely needed to be cleared with him first. Right. Okay, let me just check something out with my dad real quick, and then I'll text you when I'm ready to go. Hitoshi hung up quickly and turned to Aizawa, who looked shocked for some reason, but Hitoshi shook it off. They were both too tired to really care at this point. I forgot that a bunch of our classmates are going to the mall today, and I already promised Ochako to tag along. I was thinking that since Mina dragged pretty much everyone into going, then there's a good chance that Todoroki is going too. I'm assuming you want me to keep a close eye on him, right? I know we haven't really discussed what we're gonna do, but I figured that if he's working with the villains... Aizawa shook himself out of whatever superior he had been in and frowned. I have a meeting with Nezu today to inform him of the situation. But there's still so much we don't know. It would be illogical and unfair of me to ask you to do a job when both the danger and the threat levels are both still completely unknown. But you're not asking. I'm volunteering, Hitoshi pointed out. And he's my classmate, so if he's a villain, I'm already kind of at risk. Which is the only reason I'm not telling you to avoid him entirely, Aizawa said firmly. Go, have fun with your friends. But if Todoroki starts acting oddly, inform us instead of going after him yourself. You shouldn't be your top priority. And I don't want you putting yourself in danger. Got it, kid? Got it. Hitoshi stood and nodded to Mike as he walked into the room. I gotta go. I'll talk to you guys later. Alrighty, kiddo. Mike gave him a knowing smile. Have a great day. Okay. Hitoshi shook his head and went to go get dressed. His adults were so weird. Shota stared after Hitoshi as he ran back to his room. Did he just... Mike grinned widely. Yeah, he did. Our kid just called you Dad, Sho. How do you feel? Shota groaned. I think I need a nap. Tomura walked into the bar only to see Kirigiri talking to Grant and two NPCs that he'd never seen before. What's going on? Kirigiri hefted a disappointed sigh and gave him a look. First of all, you're late. Second of all, allow me to introduce our new recruits. This is Dabi, and the young woman next to him is Toga. They have come to join us because of our alliances with Stain's successor. Tomura tried not to grimace as he remembered that there was a reason they'd taken Spinner out on that murder spree. He didn't want new recruits. He wanted to get an apartment and try the newest video game. Sensei had praised him to beat All Might, but at the end of the day, that wasn't what Tomura really cared about. He wanted to beat bosses, sure, but it was just a little more effective to get that sense of accomplishment from gaming, rather than murder. There were more bosses to beat, for one, and fewer consequences when he failed. Eventually, he just huffed. So why are you NPCs here? The one Kirigiri had introduced as Dabi raised an eyebrow. To join your little group. I guess you're just as stupid as you look. Not that, you idiot. Tomura growled. I mean, why you want to join? What objective are you after? Dabi gave him an appraising look, but Toga jumped right in. I loved Mr. Staney. I want to kill people and drink their blood just like he did. I want to meet his apprentice and drink his blood too. That... Tomura wrinkled his nose. That's something, I guess. And what about you? Patchwork. Why are you here? To expose the fake masquerade of heroes, Dabi replied, not breaking eye contact. What about you? Is your reason good enough to follow you? I'm just here to beat the big boss, Tomura snapped. I don't really care if you join the party or not. So, if you don't like that, go find your own side quest or whatever. Tomura! Kirigiri shouted at him as he shouted past the new recruits and tore the door open. You must forgive him. Our leader knows what he must do. Allow him to clear his thoughts, and we will get back on your recruitment. Tomura slammed the door behind him, resisting the urge to disintegrate it completely. Drinking blood and exposing heroes. On the surface, these seems like great reasons to be a villain, but at the same time, there were other ways to make those things legally happen. Even if there wasn't, though, Tomura couldn't get through to his head that Sensei was going to find a way to twist these guys' goals for his own purposes. With how he had been manipulated over years, Tomura could only imagine what those two would be once he was done with them. Could he really just stand by and let that happen? Maybe Kirigiri was right. He needed to clear his head. Hitoshi took a few deep breaths as the world righted itself again. Ochako had given him some anti-nausea medication before they left, and Izuku had printed off an entire booklet on strategies to try to help him. So he managed to not throw up his coffee, but it still took him a couple of minutes to feel good again and to start looking around. Ochako, I thought we were going in the mall. Why are we at Izuku's place? Ochako blushed deeply. Well, I was just thinking, that everyone in class kind of knows them, but no one really knows them. And it might be nice to have a buffer? I mean, it might be nice to let people meet them. Hitoshi blinked. If the worst case scenario happened, and Todoroki was the traitor, Izuku was Chico'd. He and Mei had already proven that they were capable of fighting the League, so if things went south, it would be super useful to have them around. Ochako was looking forward to just having a normal shopping trip, though, and if he told his kidnappers about Todoroki, they'd probably jumped into the whole situation with both feet, and the idea of normal outing with friends would fly out the window. He could always tell them after, or even bring it up later if Todoroki started acting suspicious. He was supposed to leave it to Aizawa anyways, right? Oh, yeah. Hitoshi laughed awkwardly. That sounds great. Do they know we were coming? Ochako nodded. Yep, I texted them both yesterday, and May said that she'd meet us at Izuku's. I tried texting you too, but, you weren't actually responding, so... Oh, I was busy. Hitoshi grimaced. Sorry. Ochako shrugged. You were spending time with your adults, right? I noticed you called Aizawa dad earlier, so that must be going well. Hitoshi did a double take. What? No, I didn't. Yeah, you did. Ochako gave him a confused look. You said, and I quote, I have to check something out with my dad real quick, so I'll text you. You totally called him dad, Chigdig. Hitoshi opened his mouth to deny it again, then froze in realization as his brain caught up. Oh no, I called Aizawa dad in front of him. Oh, Mike was just around the corner, so he probably heard. Ugh, no wonder they've been acting so weird. I called Aizawa dad. Ochako patted his back. There, at least he didn't call you out on it. That just makes it worse. Hitoshi groaned. Right at that moment, Mei and Izuku came running down the stairs. Or Izuku was running, and Mei was trying to slide down the barricade. Mr. Critic-kun, what took you so long? We've been waiting forever. You only know that because Mom asked why we're still there, Izuku pointed out. You wouldn't have noticed otherwise because you were too busy showing me the plans you have to make Sensei's wheelchair fly. Levitate, Mei corrected. It would be too energy efficient to actually make it fly for long periods. Too much fuel would just slow him down. Ochako giggled. You two are so cute sometimes. It's like an old married couple. Izuku frowned. Why does everybody say that? Maybe, Izuku, because you two act like an old married couple? Y'all... My dudes, y'all are acting so hetero. So hetero. Y'all are acting like you are a couple. Maybe, Izuku, because you two be acting like you two are dating. You guys are couple goals. Exactly. So just deal with it, handle it, accept it, and stop being so oblivious. This is quite literally idiots to lovers. But in the sense that not of, oh, I like them and they like me, but I don't know that. No, in the sense of, you both like each other and you haven't figured it out yourselves. Let alone try to decipher that the other also likes you. This is idiots squared to lovers. Can we have that? Idiots squared to lovers? Is that an option? Is that a thing? I would love that. I'm sorry. Idiots squared to, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm gonna stop. But yeah, okay, so binge watching, all of that. Shigaraki, okay. There's so much and I haven't noted down what I wanted to talk about, but let's talk about Shigaraki right now, because obviously there's going to be some sort of conclusion to this Shigaraki thing coming up soon, but Shigaraki clearly is unhappy with his life. He's finally come to that full conclusion, and he's going to see that, Dabi and Toga are, going to probably get manipulated by Sensei as well, all for one. And my question is Tomura gonna sit there and just watch it happen, or is he gonna prevent it, right? Is he gonna, try to help them not get trapped like he is? Also, he said he's gonna clear his head. Last time he cleared his head in the main show, he went to the mall, and then, talked to Izuku. So, quote-unquote talked. A very civil conversation that was. So my question is it gonna be like the main show where he talks to Izuku, or is it gonna be something else, right? Maybe it is that he talks to Todoroki, because why would he talk to, Izuku was in the sports fest, okay, because I'm like, why would he know that Izuku's whatever. Point taken is, who is he gonna talk to? Because if so, I wonder if he's gonna still talk to Izuku, and be the whole, I don't know what to do, blah, 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 and less of the whole, I need a motive, and more of, how do I save two people from being, manipulated? Lol. Or is it gonna be Todoroki? And is it gonna be the final breaking point where he's just like, hey, I know we agreed that we wouldn't talk about any league and school stuff while we're together, because, like, we're not hero and villain when we're together, we're just two brothers, but, like, I don't want to be a villain no more. Like, I wonder how that's gonna play out, you know? Stuff like that. Can we talk about freaking a certain someone calling a certain other someone dad? I didn't even notice it at first. I said it, I'm also like Hitoshi, and I didn't notice it till Mike pointed it out, and I was like, hold up, scroll up, when was this? Oh. And I was like, wait, hold up, we called him dad? I didn't even notice. It didn't even hit me, right? I think it just rolled off the tongue. I was so used to it. I was just as shocked as Hitoshi. I was just as shocked as Hitoshi. Doing that whole sidestep, the whole like, wait, hold up, let me look into my memory. Let me look back into the fanfic. Oh my god. I called him dad. He called him dad. It was the same thing. Step by step. But yeah, I'm recording this minutes before I have to go live. So this is the funniest shit to me, but as always, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Join our community Discord server, link is in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.